You know who he is. He's Kevin Durant. We all know who he is. It was the Kevin Durant debut at home against Minnesota on Wednesday night, the long-awaited home debut for Kevin Durant. And at the end of the day, he didn't have the greatest impact on the game. Hell, one of the 15 best players of all time kind of haven't had an off night. It was the story of two teams that are streaking. The Suns entered winning their last two. The Minnesota Timberwolves entered winning their last four. Something had to give, and what gave on Wednesday night was the Phoenix Suns a little whooping there to those Minnesota Timberwolves. It was a close game, but the stars shone brightest when they should. Chris Paul performed in the fourth. DeAndre Ayton performed in the fourth. Devin Booker carried the team, and it was a solid, much needed win. I wouldn't say must need, but much needed win, knowing that the Suns have to go on Friday to play Denver. So I'm very excited to talk about this on the Suns Jam Session podcast. We appreciate everyone for hanging out with us. And do me a favor, subscribe, rate, and review, and all that stuff. And I'm very excited to bring from the He's on Fire podcast. Matthew couldn't be here. You know, Matthew gets those migraines. The bright lights of podcasting can sometimes give you a migraine. But from the He's on Fire podcast, everybody give it up for Coach Evan B. rejoining the podcast. Coach, it's nice to come after a victory, ain't it?
Yeah, it is. The last 2 or 3 times I was on at the end of the last season, they were all in L's. So this is definitely a welcome surprise for me.
Yeah, and normally we get you on like a Friday when I was traveling, and I'm not doing that anymore. So we get you on like a Wednesday. This is fantastic, man.
Perfect. Everything was lining up, right?
Yes, it's all the stars were aligning. I'm like, well, as I was watching the game, I'm like, dude, we just got to get Coach has got to get a dub in this one. We got to get him on here with a dub. But even if this was a loss, I think there's obviously a lot to talk about because with the insertion of Kevin Durant into this starting lineup, there's rotations, there's minute distribution, there's different sets. There's just a lot of different basketball points of view that we can look at when we talk about this game and what this team has. And I'm excited to have these conversations with you. I think it's going to be a really fun podcast for everybody. So you want to tell everyone where they can follow you? I know we're live streaming not only on your network, but on my network as well, which is kind of a cool thing that we can do now. So if you're joining us on the He's on Fire stream, hey, what's up? Hit that thumbs up button. If you're on Suns Jam, do the same. Where can they follow you, Coach?
Absolutely. At Coach Evan B on Twitter and at He's on Fire Pod on Twitter as well, too. But please check us out. He's on Fire Podcast. We're actually going to be making our, we're not really coming back or anything like that, but we're going to be doing every Tuesday night about 9 o'clock Valley time. We're going to be coming out. We're coming back. We kind of have some things going on when you got 3 dads in there that when they all had young kids, that makes it really hard, but we're getting into a groove now. So come check us out every Tuesday night. And then if something big happens, of course, we're going to hop on them.
Heck yes. And very excited to have you on. So let's pop them if we got them. Matthew normally is, pounding some water on a Wednesday night. Are you drinking anything? What do you got there?
You went to Golden Spike Hefeweizen, one of the better breweries up here in Utah by far. One of the first ones too. Delicious, one of my favorites. So we're just.
I've had that. I used to have that one of my bars. I have Tap the Rockies Coors Light. So let's pop them. Pop them if you got them, Suns fans. Ooh, that's a good sound, especially like when 2 people are doing it at the same time. It's got like that
slaps different.
Yes, it's like. It's like Kurt Cobain did on the Nevermind album where he like doubled all of his tracks vocally like John Lennon did, and it gave everything such more pop. Well done. So cheers, Suns fans. Let's talk about a victory. To 100, the Phoenix Suns slow down the streaking Minnesota Timberwolves, a team that has, over the past 10 games, been the 3rd best offensive team in the NBA, held them to 100 points. But that's not going to be my first question for you, Coach. My first question is going to be, I can't even find my own drops anymore. Jesus.
Matthew, I got to ask.
Evan, I got to ask, when you talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves, do you call them the Timberwolves, the T-Wolves, or the Wolves? I always have a hard time with it.
I always say Wolves.
Every time. Do you ever? I call them either the Timberwolves or the Wolves. I never call them the T-Wolves.
If I'm talking to somebody that doesn't know sports or whatever, like, oh yeah, we're playing Minnesota, so you don't even have to worry about the name, right? I just go Minnesota. And if it's somebody that I kind of know, like, oh, we're playing the Timberwolves. If I'm talking about one of my favorite teams back in the day when it was Marbury, Googs, and KG, like the T-Wolves were awesome, man. It was all about the T-Wolves. I use it in different ways.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about them, and it's interesting because you don't do that with like the Arizona Diamondbacks, right? Like everyone calls them the D-backs.
When they suck, they're the D-bags, but yes.
Correct. And some people call them the Dimebacks. They're never called the backs.
Hell, that's weird.
Thought of, just
That's
I was
true.
thinking of things I think about when I'm watching the game. So there you go. Just a little thought. Obviously, what everybody wants to talk about, it was the debut of one Kevin Durant in this game. Finally, Kevin Durant.
Who the heck are you?
I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am. Y'all know who I am.
Did anybody see a sniper? Did anybody see anything?
I'm one of the best players to ever play the game.
So Kevin Durant plays in this game, ends up playing a total of 29 minutes, but he was only 5 of 18 from the field. He had 16 points, 7 defensive rebounds, 1 offensive rebound for a total of 8, 4 assists. You take a look at how he started, 0 points in the first quarter, starts in the second quarter. Now, is that going to be something we saw it in the 3 games that he played? By the way, Suns 4-0 with Kevin Durant, by the by. But we saw that in the 3 games prior to his injury that he started with the second team unit. We saw it again tonight. Coach, do you think that that's something that we're going to continue to see throughout the duration of the regular season and on into the playoffs?
Absolutely. We saw it when Chris Paul joined, right? He was always starting the second and starting the fourth quarters. And now we're seeing Payne getting a little more trust under Monty, right? And so he's starting the second and fourth quarters, which is what I think needs to happen. We don't need Chris starting and ending the fourth quarter, right? So one of those dudes has to be out there. And if Booker's ending the first and ending the third quarter, it's got to be KD. I worry about the rotation at the end of games, though. What they pulled him out at the 7-8 minute mark of the fourth quarter, and then they brought him back in with 3 minutes and change left.
I think that's because of minutes restrictions, right? Like they're like, okay,
it has to be. That has to be. But either way, do you really want Kevin Durant playing a full 12-minute fourth quarter? Right?
Not right now. Not right now. I don't see any need for it. I think that it's something that we're gonna probably see increased minutes in as time goes on, but with 7 games and it being his first game back and it being a game in which he just didn't look good, right? I think Monty's like, you know what? We got something rolling. We're playing well right now. We're up. I think we were up by 7-8 points at that time. And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna roll the dice a little bit. I'm gonna take KD out. I'm gonna keep him on this minutes restrictions, if you will, knowing that, to your point, we don't want him out there for 12 minutes. And let's just see if we need to bring him back. And they didn't need to, really. They got down to 4, and they kind of did the Deke thing, if you will, where he sat there on the sidelines, or sitting in his warm-ups, and then the last minute he took him off to force a late substitution from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Was about 3.5 minutes left. But I think it was the right move by Monty Williams. And you got to give Monty Williams props in this game, because this is going to be a challenge that he's going to have throughout the remainder of this short season. We have 6 games left, but it's going to be a challenge for him to try to navigate this. But one thing that I really appreciated about Monty Williams is what he said when Kevin Durant was on the sideline, or walking to the sideline. I don't know if you saw that clip. Kevin Durant, he had 3 for 13 in the first 3 quarters for Kevin Durant. He's shaking his head. Okay, now that being said, in that fourth quarter, Durant went 2 of 5, and both of those 2 were 3-pointers, and they were big 3-pointers. But he pulled him aside, and this is what Monty had to say to Kevin.
Shaking your head for part of it. Greatness don't shake his head. You feel me?
Greatness don't shake its head, and I like that. That was a good coaching moment from from Monty Williams to Kevin Durant, don't you think?
That was a good mentor moment. Not even coaching. I mean, that's just Monty in a nutshell, right? I dare to say I didn't hear anything like that from Steve Nash. Maybe you heard a couple sound bites here or there from Steve Kerr coaching him up, but I think that's just a different level of coaching that you're going to get from Monty because of the relationship he has with KD. So it was less like, no, you need to go left, right. No, it wasn't anything like that. He's just keep your head up. You're you.
Yeah.
You're him.
You're Kevin
I liked it.
Durant.
That was perfect. I'm
It was-
Kevin Durant.
I love that, by the way. That's like my favorite clip ever. I walk around saying that shit all the time now. I'm like, he's Kevin Durant. You know he is. You know, it's like when it first happened back in the playoffs all those years ago, I thought it was just such a gangster comment. And now that he's on our team and we're the ones who get to listen and see him play and utilize that as the AOL apparently is hurting.
I'm still here.
Feed. Yes. Houston Astros is your thing. You're an Astros fan?
No, I am not an Astros fan, but unfortunately, we do share accounts at the ASAP network here.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. But I'm still here. Keep going.
Okay, as long as it's none of those trash can bangers, you know how I feel about the Astros. But I think that with Kevin Durant's insertion, it's going to be, those moments that Monty has to do. It's just good to see. It's good to see because so many people recently have been bagging Monty Williams for his coaching, for this, for that. And I'll see it, especially during our live streams in the chat. I see what some of you say, fire Monty, this, that, the other. We have those conversations. I know that Matthew and Gavin, who were on the podcast last time, because I couldn't make it because it was a fantasy baseball draft night. Woo, baseball, baby. Yeah, keeper league, man. I kept who the fuck did I keep? I kept Jose Ramirez and Corey God damn, I can't remember his name. I'm a horrible person. The best pitcher on the Milwaukee Brewers, you know who he is.
Oh, yeah.
Corbin Burns.
Thank you.
Yeah. But again, the way the what Matthew and Gavin were talking about was just that. You know, they're addressing it too. It's like, everybody fucking chill on Monty, man. You got to chill on Monty. Now that's a conversation we'll continue to have as the playoffs progresses. Like with this roster, if healthy, and if they can't make it to the finals, like what do you do with Monty? And even then, the answer is like nothing, man, nothing. You keep the continuity. You keep somebody. Moments like what we just saw are why Monty Williams is here and should continue to be here.
I agree. I think we've all had our frustration when it comes to Monty, but at the same time, we've had a lot of injuries, a lot of roster turnover, a lot of weird things just happen, right?
Yes.
But John, if Tyronn Lue is there, if Ty Lue is there and is available, and we look dreadful in a series like we did against the Mavs or something, you can talk me into wanting to have a better tacticianer.
Yes, you're not wrong.
That's an argument to be had, but when it comes to culture and what the Phoenix Suns have become, what's more important at that point? That's going to be an Ishbia question too, if you ask me. I don't think that's going to be a James Jones thing. That's going to come down to Matt Ishbia and his presidential people that he has all around him and his group that he's bringing in, which he's still not done bringing in a whole lot of guys.
Oh no,
but Monty has done a great job. I mean, no Shamet tonight, no Ish Wainwright, no Damian Lee, no Jock, and we saw Jock being really super aggressive and competitive and damn near one of the best backup big men the Suns have ever had when KD was in there with him. Like you saw a little synchronicity going on there. So it surprised me. But when you think back to what Monty has said, how when it comes to the fifth starter, it's going to be based on matchups. Well, that's very much like what it's going to be with Biyombo, right? You had a bigger team in Utah. You had a bigger team in Minnesota by far with like Naz Reid coming off the bench. And let's hope Naz Reid is going to be okay for the long term.
Naz Reid's a badass, by the way, man. He's fucking
he's
great.
a free agent, by the way, at the end of the season.
I know. He is a great he's like, Torrey Craig, Naz Reid.
Give me Naz.
Yeah, if we can afford it, though, that's the question. Again, you go back to that Ishbia thinking, right?
Ishbia can, baby.
Yeah, Ishbia can, but will he? I think he can, and I think he will. But again, we're getting way ahead of ourselves because there's so much of the offseason, right? Like
so fun.
Yeah, it's fun. We're already thinking of the offseason, like who can we pick up in free agency? Do we need a new coach? Like, no, none of that. The Suns won, and it was a great win. Go ahead.
Going back to KD real quick. It definitely looked like one of two things was kind of happening. we were forcing it to him so he could get his first bucket, right? Like that was definitely forced, get it off his back and all that. And so we forced that a little bit, but also he was really playing the Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson swingman role, just being posted up in the corner.
Yep.
I'm wondering if that was by design because you just don't want to tire him out and do all these things right when he gets back, or that's not where they're planning to play him all the time, right? But did you notice that?
Yes, completely. And the first thing I thought was just that is, oh, this is a game where they're going to pick and choose their spots for Kevin Durant to be effective. Because when he first came back in those first 3 games, now granted, against lesser competition, and even with we beat the Mavs and, it was Kevin Durant is the one who made that shot. Newsflash, the Mavs suck, right? They only play well against us. But against those lesser teams, I really think that what they were doing was Kevin was rearing and ready to go. And he had been working out, and he probably could have played when he first started with the team. I mean, we all saw him putting up jumpers. He looked fine. So I think he was ready to go, and they were going to try out some of those new sets with him when they run the Spain pick and roll, and they're running it with both him, DeAndre Ayton, and Chris Paul. And then Booker and him and Ayton. I mean, they were trying. You were seeing that in those first 3 games is how they were attacking the center of the court. And what they did in this game is, like you said, he was in the corner playing off where Mikal Bridges normally would, and Mikal would do a lot of the slashing stuff, right? And he was doing that at times, just like Mikal would at times, because Mikal would save his energy primarily for the defensive end, and he'd be a beneficiary of a collapse Spain pick and roll where you can dish it out to the corner if that defender comes in. So, excuse me, I think that I agree with you. I believe that was by design. I think that they're like, hey, first game back, this is a big team. You have Jaden McDaniels out there. You got Cat. You got Rudy Gobert. We're going to have you run these sets out here, and we'll get you into the game. We'll get you into the offense as the game progresses.
And what I really noticed from all those sets was the space that was there, especially in the first and the fourth quarter. When you had Mikal or Cam Johnson, those defenders would slack off all the way almost down to the block or even get a foot in the paint, right? Nobody's slacking off of KD. They were airtight on him, and we had room to roam. So even when KD is having an off night, these things are an impact that he is making. He made an impact on the defensive end. He made an impact rebounding because they out-rebounded us tonight. And offensively, we came back offensively, but they were up on offensive boards for a while, had 4 assists as well, too. The spacing is just going to continue to be incredible. I mean, we saw how many open threes with Devin Booker the first 3 games with KD, right? So the spacing was impeccable. I loved what they did and what they planned. We all wanted a 40 burger from KD tonight. That's what we wanted. But at the end of the day, a win is a win is a win is a win.
It's all going to come together, and it's baby steps, if you will, right? It's like
I disagree. We got to make giant leaps right now because the schedule is kind of weird. We play Denver next, and that's going to be a big game. But then we play Denver next Tuesday? Are they going to be resting guys?
We play Oklahoma City.
Yep.
And then we play, I think, Denver again.
Yep.
And then we've got
the Clippers and the Lakers, and then the Clippers. So the Clippers, the last game.
There's one more game in there, I think. No, you're right.
I think that there might be one more. But either way, that second Denver game. Are we going to want to play all of our guys?
Are they going to want to play all their guys?
Are they going to want to play all their guys?
Well, that's even the question going into Friday.
Weird. Yeah.
Because the Memphis lost tonight, so that pushes them further down. I mean, you don't need to. We'll talk about Denver. We'll talk about Denver at the back end of this podcast because they're the next game. For those of you watching, real quick, if you're looking at me, I look like I'm blazed out of my brain. I've been coughing all day. Like I've had allergies or something. I got a spinal injection this morning. I'm a fucking wreck.
Every cough is a bitch right now.
Oh, it hurts. It hurts. And I'm tearing up. So I might just I'll be you'll be talking a lot in this one, Evan, because I can only talk for so long without having a cough. It's just,
hey, I had my first city council meeting where I had to give up and give a presentation and whatnot, and I was actually kind of rolling. I was kind of feeling myself a little bit afterwards. I felt good about it. I just kept on point. I kept rambling, Jedi Master bullshit. I'm ready to go, man.
How many people?
There was 5 or 6 people just on the council, a handful of people standing around, and probably 30 to 40 people. I've given bigger presentations before, but never a city council, something that's, a little
That's
uppity.
it's official. It's official. It's like that shit's on TikTok somewhere. Like somebody was recording it and
Ugh.
putting it on TikTok.
Well, I gave a good presentation, so that's cool.
Well done. That's what I'm talking about, man. Well, on the other side is like when you do a podcast, you have a lot of repetitions of just talking. So it helps. It definitely has helped me in my personal career, just getting up here and talking to all you fine
and
people.
talking to when I worked in the restaurant for 8 years, and you did too, right? Just talking to random people helps.
Oh, I have a PhD in bullshit.
Yep.
Last thing on KD. All right. And I'm going to throw a curveball at you here. And I'm interested to see what the chat says on this too. Did you see what KD was wearing when he arrived at the game?
I did, but remind me.
He was wearing a Tupac hat. So I will say this. I fucking love Tupac. And this is going to be the part of the show where we're definitely going to age ourselves. You're not nearly as old as I am, but we will age ourselves. And I'll ask you this question. Who are your top 5 favorite rappers of all time? And I understand that's a subjective question because what defines favorite, is it memory based? Is it based on lyrics? Is it based on volume? There's a ton of things that can dictate that. But can you give me your top 5 greatest rappers of all time on the spot?
Pac, Eminem, Nas, Royce da 5'9", and Jay-Z.
Wow, we're pretty close. Okay, how old are you?
I really want to put like Wayne in there because I went to college during the Lil Wayne era, but lyrically he's just not up there for the rest of those.
I think from a freestyle standpoint, he's badass.
Oh yeah,
like he can drop anything off the note. So we're pretty close. I got Eminem, Pac, Jay-Z, Nas, and then I went with Luda.
Can't go wrong with Luda. I love Luda. Who doesn't love Luda?
He was the soundtrack of like my college years when I didn't go to college and I just, drank and smoked weed and listened to Ludacris. Boom, bitch, get out the way.
And then you had Outkast as well too. Outkast, I really wanted to put
badass.
up there. I mean, you could easily put Andre 3000 or
the problem
like
with Outkast is the same problem I have with Biggie. It's like there's just not enough volume. That's a qualifier to me. Like they just don't have enough albums, right? Like from Bombs Over Baghdad to like Speaker Box, Love Below. What they put one album after that, and Biggie, he just wasn't around long enough. He did like 3 albums. Whereas Pac, he died early too, but man, he recorded a ton.
I think he's got another one coming out next month, probably.
I wouldn't doubt it. That's just what he does, man. He's still alive. He's in Jamaica just recording shit.
Big Dick Booker.
BDB tonight. The Big Dick Booker went for 29 points. He was 8 of 18 from the field, 12 of 15 from the free throw line, which I will definitely get to in the subreddit stakeout. 5 assists, 4 steals from D-Book. What did you see from D-Book tonight, Coach?
I don't want to say he had a different edge to him, but he played just a little bit different tonight. Now, granted, what Monty said at one of the timeouts, that they were looking too casual out there, and then they turned it up and won. He just looked a little more free and open, like he knew the Red Sea was about to part just a little bit for him. And so watching him attack was a welcome sight. But I got to say, every single time he goes down, I clench the butthole a little bit.
That's everybody, I feel like. Like KD was on the floor a lot this game.
So was Chris.
Yeah, so was Chris. Like everybody was. DA was on the floor. I was like, Jesus Christ, what the hell is going on? But I agree with you. What I saw from Devin Booker was the freedom of knowing that even though Kevin Durant was having an off night, he's like, hey, shit, I can go off right now because I don't have to do this the entire game. I can sit there and put up in the third quarter a total of 7, or I'm sorry, how many? Oops, clicked the wrong. Where's my thingies? There we go. 12 points. 12 points in the third quarter. Now, granted, 8 of those were from the free throw line. But he knows that he can pick and choose spots now because he has somebody right next to him who consistently will be able to provide. I mean, Kevin Durant had a horrible game, and he ended with like 16 points, right? So, again, there was that aspect of it. And I really think that what we saw from Devin Booker was in the third quarter when we went down 10. It was 60-50. Yep. They left Mike Conley wide open for a 3. And then Devin Booker started attacking. And I forget who said it in the chat the other night. I think it was Blaze Megatron. He goes, what's great about Devin Booker right now is he's not going by the rim. He's going at the rim. And he's getting the calls. Now, that being said, he did have an amazing shot where he went by the rim, right? I mean, he's like flying by on the left block, fading away, gets fouled by Connolly, and it somehow magically goes in. So that's one of those like one-off fouls, if you will. But we see him more attacking the rim. And I'm with you. You know, Devin Booker isn't the biggest guy. Devin Booker hasn't always been the healthiest guy, as I knock on wood. And if I did that, my dog will probably start barking. I shouldn't do that. Who's at the door? Who's at the door? Let me talk at the door. Do you like him attacking the basket more?
Absolutely. I mean, we have to do that. We saw it every time we play the Mavericks or any other team that foul baits, the Bucks, whoever you want to talk about. You have to get to the free throw line. It's not so much attacking. It's just getting to the free throw line, and attacking the basket is just kind of an ingredient to go into that. You know, you have the Chris Paul rip throughs that definitely help with that. I love him attacking. He's so fluid with it too. That's the thing, Johnny. He's so fluid. Yeah, he's gonna get his shit stuffed every once in a while. I mean, that just happens when you're playing
everybody.
in the NBA. But he's so fluid with it. He's so crafty. He always works on his double moves, which I love. He's showing one way, but he's going to be finishing over this way, right?
Yeah,
and that's what I love about him. He's so good with it. I've been wanting to have him do it more, and I really thought Chris Paul was kind of a deterrent from that, you know, teaching him to play the Chris Paul way, which it was. So having him kind of, now he has that in his bag, and now he's got downhill Book, which is what I dubbed him back in 2020 during the COVID season. When you have downhill Book, good things happen and continue to happen. And now is he starting to get a little bit of a favorable call? We could have that discussion too.
You think he is?
I think it's worth the discussion now. I think before we were like, no, he's getting dicked on every single call. And in the last few games, ever since Monty comes out, and they're definitely going downhill more, it seems to be going into his favor. I'd say more often than not.
So you look at his first, or like when was the big rant, if you will? When was the?
It was right before the Sacramento game.
Okay,
because it was a Sacramento game. We came back, we got the fouls, but then we lost in the second half.
That's right. That's right. So for his first 45 games, Devin Booker was attempting 6.3 free throws per game, not including tonight. So it's going to be the last 3 games, and he shot 12 tonight, right? Is that what I said? 12? I think it's what he shot.
No, 15, 12 for 15.
So here you go. So what did I say? His first 45 games, he was attempting 6 free throws a night. His last 3, not including tonight when he shot 15, he's been averaging 10.3. That's 4 more. Now, granted, part of that is by design. I truly believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that is Monty Williams standing up for his guy. And I get it. Trust me. If anybody gets, the tic-tac fouls being called against you, as the Minnesota Timberwolves fans were complaining about, I can't blame them. A couple of those, I was like, the one that got overturned, like that wasn't a foul, in my opinion. Eddie was trying to make it a foul.
God bless him.
But, yeah, God bless him. Gotta love Eddie. But now he's getting those calls. Monty Williams, by standing up for his team, by taking the fine, by sitting there and saying 46-20, by pointing out the officiating bias that's occurred against this team and against Devin Booker for the entire season. The statistics are there. Now he's getting those calls. And I'm okay with that. God damn it. It's about fucking time, dude. It's about time we had one of those guys. Shit. And now we got KD too, who wasn't getting the calls tonight.
No. And I don't care when they're saying all these things on the telecast, like, oh, Devin Booker has more free throws than the Timberwolves. Good.
Yeah.
I don't give it. I don't look at that as a slight anymore. How many times have we heard that, right?
I'll tell you this. Tonight's game was it's our 76th game of the year. It was only the 24th time that we've shot more free throws than the opposition. So that's 24 out of 76, right?
That's third of the time about.
Yeah, 31% of the time we shoot more free throws than the opposition. 31%. It's again, I've talked about this before. I did some research. The Lakers shoot like 70% of the time. The Lakers shoot more free throws than the opposition. And it's not complete. Like, it's bias. It's 100% bias. It's the fucking Lakers. Like, you look at their statistics, like they don't take the most shots inside of 10 feet or 8 feet, right? They're like 7th or 8th, but they get all these fucking calls.
That's why Golden Boy Luka got his technical rescinded the other day, right?
Yep.
It's the secret NBA agenda, wanting their stars to play in the playoffs.
And he should not have had that it was the technical for the money sign, right?
No,
Was that what it was for?
I could no. That happened that happened the same
So
night.
okay,
the
he got
Booker thing,
fined
so
for
this was
that.
something different. Yeah.
You shouldn't rescind that. Anything that he did, because trust me, knowing Luka, he fucking earned it. So yeah, it's the Illuminati of the NBA, which brings us to DraftKings. Ready for the underdogs, the upsets, and the unbelievable action from DraftKings Sportsbook? The biggest tournament in college basketball is here. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 on college hoops and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, for a limited time, all customers can score a no-sweat bet during round 1 and 2 of the tournament. Go to the app, opt in, and place a no-sweat bet this weekend. If it doesn't hit, you'll get a bonus back up to $10. I got Houston winning it all. I know. I'm dumb. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up with code TBPN. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly, win or lose, only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code TBPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Now, I do want to thank everybody who signed up for the Suns Jam bracket thingy that we did for March Madness. We still have the Final Four and the championship to go, but the standings are final. No one in the entire fucking thing got anybody into Final Four. You came in 4th place, Coach. You are the basketball.
Hey.
You are the college basketball guru. You came into 4th. Do you know who won? This guy.
You did? I looked
did.
before the Elite Eight. That before that Saturday. I did not see that. There you go.
I won.
A good thing it wasn't for money. I would say you're rigging this now.
No, hell no. I could never do it for money. I did it for money and I lost too. But Alex O and Burfamy, both came in second. They got 490 points and I had 50 points. I was 10 ahead. So
Attaboy.
I know nothing. I literally just I'll watch a couple of Coach Evan B's He's on Fire podcast to hear what's going on in the college basketball world. And then I'll just be like, yeah, Coach was talking about this guy. This guy's seemed pretty good. So let's talk about this guy. And that's literally how I did it. So, all right, let's talk about DeAndre Ayton in this game.
Ayton watch.
All right, DeAndre Ayton, 5 of 9 from the field, 10 points, only 3 rebounds, 3 blocks, 1 steal. Of those 10 points, he had 4 of them come in the 4th quarter. And I will say, the Aussie Suns fan podcast, it's got to be Gavin, DA the GOAT, quote me. Thoughts on DeAndre Ayton's performance tonight, Evan?
Man, I didn't even notice him until the 4th quarter.
Interesting. Isn't it funny what happens when KD shows up? You're like, yeah, DA, do things.
He had a block here, a nice thing there. I mean, I'll say that it looks like his touch is back, right? His touch definitely looked a lot better tonight than against the Jazz. I did like that, but when he needed to show up in the 4th quarter and do some big things, everybody seemed to show up, especially, we'll get to Chris Paul, I'm sure. But DA definitely showed up when he needed to. You did see some late defensive, I don't know if they were miscues or rotations or something was missed, but you saw him looking at KD and Booker just quite a few times. He had a weird inbounds play right at the very end where he was going to pick it up and just didn't even look KD's way, and KD was open for 5 seconds and didn't even look that way. There were some weird little things like that, but he did what he was supposed to do. It's not like he got posterized, he was getting ran down the court, or Gobert was beating him down the court. God forbid if that happened. So it's not like he did a lot of as to your point, to what you and what Flex and Dan Duarte has said, he can't get played off the court.
Nope.
He didn't get played off the court, but he didn't do anything spectacular and the whole night, really. But in the 4th quarter, he showed up. He did his job. He helped with a win, and he wasn't pouting, wasn't kicking rocks or anything like that. So, and we won. So I'm not bitching.
What I loved about DA tonight is he was engaged. He was focused and he was engaged and he was trying. And here's 2 things that will prove to you that he was trying. I'm going to cough. Beer. The first thing is the way that he was playing physically with Rudy Gobert down on the block. Now, he wasn't grabbing all the rebounds. Rudy finished with 15 rebounds. DA wasn't grabbing all the rebounds. But what he was doing was he was just being physical with the guy.
Yep.
He was forcing him off his spots. He wasn't allowing him to be an effective scorer. Now it hurt the Suns in the first half that Rudy was getting all those rebounds, and everybody on the Minnesota Timberwolves were getting those rebounds because they led to second chance points. But they weren't from Rudy. Rudy ended with 7 points in this game, which was beautiful. The other thing that I noticed from DeAndre Ayton was there was a play where the ball was going out of bounds, and he ran and he hustled, and he almost dove for it, but he got it and he threw it back into Booker. This is on the side. Wasn't on the baseline. When's the last time you saw something like that from DeAndre Ayton, where he is out far enough to be there, but then goes after it? Normally, he's just kind of the guy who stands there and watches it go, right?
Game 4 or game 5 against the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals when he had like 22 points and 20 boards.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah. But you think about it. We're 6 games left in the season now. We're getting ready into the postseason. Here comes playoff DA, folks. Like, this is what you can expect from playoff DA, especially with Kevin Durant and Chris Paul and Devin Booker on the court. Is he can really focus on his energy level and bringing it. And I appreciate that. Would you like to see him go for more? You always do, because he's your number 1 pick. But we don't need him to anymore. That's the beauty of this. So he can really play to his strengths and be aggressive when he needs to be aggressive. But he was engaged the entire game, and there was a different level of hustle and engagement that I noticed right from the tip. I was like, oh shit, DA's in this game. Let's go. So we'll continue to watch how this goes for the remainder of the season, because, and this is the other big thing, as you mentioned, like, he showed up big when we needed him to. Because that's the thing. It's like you don't want DA to just kind of, not be engaged offensively to the point where it's like they're not utilizing him at all. Chris Paul had one of the best passes I've ever fucking seen Chris Paul throw to DA today, when he bounced it and it went right to DA's chest on a pick and roll where he could just grab it from his chest up into the basket, not down at his knees where he's grabbing it and then he's trying to come back up where everyone's like, why is he bringing the ball down? It's because that's where the fucking ball was thrown to him. Kevin Durant had a great wraparound pass in the first quarter to get to DA. It's going to be another benefit of KD. All of a sudden, we're going to have these different opportunities to get to DA, get DA the ball, and the way they did it tonight, it was a plus. So, Gavin, I guess you're right. He is the GOAT, and we will quote you.
He's the GOAT of Sun centers. Let's be real.
He is. Who's a better? Alvin Adams. You got to give it to Alvin Adams. Alvin Adams is the number 1 Phoenix Suns center of all time.
I never watched him play, so I can go off of stats and by hearsay, and sure, we can all agree, but I never saw it. But if that's the bar, then that's great. Then he still has more to live up to.
100%, and he will. He's going to be with this team for a long time. He's got a lot of opportunities. He's going to get a lot of growth upcoming, and he's 23, 24. Like, he's about to hit that stride as a center, and good things are going to happen. So, quality performance.
Real quick, a couple. I know we weren't going to talk about KD anymore, but a couple quotes from tonight that I'm just scrolling real quick.
What do you got?
Kevin Durant changed shoes at halftime.
I did see that.
Right? Yep.
Gray to like an orange pink.
And then he talked about from Dwayne Rankin. Talked about being excited for the game. Said he just wanted it too bad. Sometimes you want it too bad, and that was exactly what it felt like. It felt forced to him, but I thought it was interesting. He's not that superstitious dude. He'll change shoes. I didn't know he was like that. I'm superstitious. I came down with about 6 minutes left, and we were up 7 or 8, and then we're up at 4, and I'm sitting here holding this jersey, and I was about to put it on. I'm like, nope, don't put on the jersey, man. Don't put on the Valley jersey. This is the first time I've worn this since the Mavericks debacle in Game 7 last year. And tonight I was going to exercise the demons.
I'm the same way, man. So I bought this shirt right here. For those of you who are watching, this is my KD 35 shirt, right? This is one thing that we have on Redbubble. So if you're interested, we have a link in the description below. And I bought it, and I literally got it the day that KD was supposed to make his home debut against the Oklahoma City Thunder. It came in the package. I pulled it out. I didn't unfold it. I'm like, I'm going to put this thing on tonight. And then right before the game, obviously he went down, and it's literally sat on my kitchen table for 3 weeks until tonight. And right before the game, when everything was clear, where they're getting ready to tip, I put it on. I'm like, all right, let's go. It's KD time. So even KD.
Shout out to your wife for having the patience of an angel for letting a box sit on the kitchen table for 3 weeks.
And I'll tell you this, she cleans everything and throws everything away. like everything. So the fact that it's out there is it's like amplified. Like we call her Danny Tanner because she's always claiming shit. So TJ, War Machine. Obviously, one thing that we're going to be watching for the remainder of the Suns season is how the rotations work. And I thought it was interesting that the first rotational move that Monty Williams made was he brought in TJ Warren with Torrey Craig and Cameron Payne. So question number one, Coach, was that the right move?
Yeah. I still trust Monty for having the pulse of the team. So I absolutely think that was the right move. I like Ross not really playing until the end of the first quarter or beginning of the second quarter. Having TJ Warren, a guy that can go in there that I saw it earlier today. Is he earning the trust of Monty Williams? Is he just playing better? Whatever the case is, I like his movement. I like what he's doing on defense. He's still not a great defender, but he's in position. And shit, that's 85% of it is just being in position. And then other things start to click. So I like what he's doing. We all wish he could go off for a 25, 30-point game every once in a while, even though he has been looking a lot better. Only 1 for 4 tonight, 2 points, but 4 boards, 3 assists, a block. I mean, I felt like he made a little bit more of an impact before Ayton did in the fourth quarter. I just seemed to notice him more. Maybe it was because I was watching the wings and less of Gobert and Ayton. I don't know, but absolutely bring in TJ Warren, first sub off the bench, more scoring punch. I'm all for it, man.
I completely agree. I think that TJ Warren coming off the bench with those two other guys, with Torrey Craig and with Cameron Payne, is the right move right now. I think that, again, from a stat line, it's not sexy. He only played 11 minutes and got the 2 points. He got 4 rebounds. He got 3 assists. But you're right. From a veteran standpoint and from a positioning standpoint, he's in the right place. Does he always make the right play? No. But he doesn't always foul on every play, too. That's why you can't have Damian Lee out there. Because guess what? TJ Warren gets beat. We saw it against the Sacramento Kings.
Saw it against the Jazz.
Saw it against the Jazz. Yeah. He'll get beat. But if he gets beat, he gets beat and carries on. Like Damian Lee's got to commit some stupid foul. And you exacerbate the problem in multiple ways because you put your team in foul trouble. You put them on the free throw line because 9 times out of 10 with Damian Lee, it's a shooting foul. Like,
and then he's trying to make it up on the other end with some stupid shot or something.
Yeah, and not a wide open 3. Like he's trying to dribble into double teams and shoot. So, pulse of the team is going to be something that Monty Williams is really going to have to monitor. Now, I've been making the case recently that he should start over Josh Okogie.
Hey, Joe. Where you going with that?
So I mentioned this recently, the fact that Josh Okogie is like one of the worst catch and shoot 3-point shooters on the Phoenix Suns. And that's just a fact. And with the gravity that's going to exist with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and DeAndre Ayton on the floor, he's going to see a lot of wide open threes. He was 1 of 3 tonight from beyond the arc. He was 4 of 10 overall. But he had 10 points and he had 9 rebounds. And he had a couple steals and a block. So it's like he's a stat stuffer. Now, granted, he's playing against his old team. You know he's up for that. The mask is off now. So I'll ask you this. This is a conversation that Matthew and I have kind of been going back and forth with. I know Gavin, when he was on the podcast last time, they were talking about it as well. Do you think Josh Okogie should stay in the starting 5? Or do you think that Monty Williams should put in somebody like a TJ Warren? Like I want to go as far to say TJ Ross, because he literally is a turnstile. Like he got turned around a couple times. I was like, oh, damn, that's like the definition of today. But should you put in somebody who's a more pliable offensive threat than Josh Okogie into the starting lineup and then worry about having Okogie end the games? Or should he remain in the starting 5?
Okogie needs to be there because I'm going to go back to your original point, having the fuck shit up guy. I think that's very, very important for that position. Whether it's, I mean, you know, if we play the Nuggets and you have Aaron Gordon, MPJ, and Jokic, you know, you're going to want to play Torrey Craig, right? That's who you're going to want to start in that instance. But I also want a scoring punch off the bench. Payne, very unreliable at times. Thought he played a pretty decent game tonight. TJ Ross, I almost did it too. Terrence Ross can be a flamethrower, but he's 0 for tonight.
He had 0 tonight. Like him, the guys who've gotten us to this 3-game winning streak. TJ Warren and Terrence Ross, the outlet boys, had 2 points tonight. Like it's crazy.
And tonight was a weird game. Tonight was KD's return and everything felt weird. And I I really want to throw this one out, and this was just about getting everybody on the court and seeing what happens. It almost felt like a YMCA run for the first 2.5 quarters, man. You know what I mean? So, but I really want a more conventional lineup out there, because if we do have to go 5 subs deep and we're not going to stagger lineups, which personally I don't want to. I mean, if you ask me, I want all of our starters out of the lineup at the end of the first quarter, at about the 10-minute mark with 2 minutes left, and for about the first 2 or 3 minutes. I want all of them rested. I mean, call me more old school in that fashion. So I want more scoring punch off the bench. I want more well-rounded stuff. I don't want Payne dribbling to the middle and he's looking over. There's Josh Okogie and Craig. Shit, what's going to happen from that? We're going to lose leads real quick, as opposed to Payne being able to get Ross involved, and then TJ Warren, he's just a bucket getter in very weird ways. So I really think for this team, for what we need coming from the bench, it is very important to have a Ross, a Payne, and a Warren coming off the bench. That's my personal opinion.
It's a fair point, and it's a great topic of conversation, because I don't know if there's necessarily there's a wrong answer. Like, instead of starting Josh Okogie, you put in Bismack Biyombo. Like, that's the wrong
Start
answer.
Jock Landale. Come on.
Yeah, Landale should be in there, right? Like, that's clearly the wrong answer. The way that I look at it, and you're right. I've said it before. When we lost Jay Crowder, we lost our fuck shit up guy. And you saw it at the end of this game, man. Josh Okogie was the fuck shit up guy.
Everywhere.
But it was at the end of the game. And what I think is, and I'll continue to ride this point of view, if you will, just for the topic of conversation. If you have TJ Warren starting, he's somebody who can hit those catch and shoot threes, and you can put a big lead on a team, right? You can go up 7-8 points before they're sitting there starters. And then you know what the Suns are going to do. They're going to play Devin Booker, and they'll play DeAndre Ayton. They played both of them pretty much the entire first quarter. I think DA played the entire first, which is something I was like, okay, that's what I'm talking about. DA, he played the first 10 minutes. But you do that, and you sustain the lead. And then when the second quarter starts and Cameron Payne comes out onto the court with Josh Okogie, with Torrey Craig, and with potentially like a Terrence Ross, they're coming out with Kevin Durant. And in that situation, you have Cameron Payne who can score, Kevin Durant who can score and facilitate. They both can score and facilitate. You got a couple defensive guys in there, and then you're playing Bismack or Jock Landale based on the matchup. And I think that you can score and defend in that lineup set. So again, I don't know if there's necessarily a right answer or wrong answer. I think at the end of the game, Okogie's in there. Like, Okogie, play him the whole fucking fourth.
Sure.
The guy's fantastic. But I think that that's just a way in the first half to run your rotations in effort to get a good lead and sustain a lead. I don't know.
I completely agree with the sustaining the lead part, because I feel like we have the firepower where we should be up early in most games.
Mm-hmm. We do.
When we do sub in guys, that's going to be the part where we need to. The bench really needs to learn how to sustain, and then they thrived right in the past couple of games, definitely against lower teams, and nobody was hot like the T-Wolves were, right? Well, there I am calling them the T-Wolves.
See, you never know what you're going to call them. The Wolves, the Timberwolves.
Yeah, those guys up in Minnesota.
The Minnesotas. But we talked about Cameron Payne. He deserved a drop tonight.
Here comes the pain.
Very, very effective minutes from Cameron Payne tonight. He only played 13 minutes, but he was 5 of 10 from the floor. He had 11 points, had a couple assists, had a rebound. But it was that third quarter where we really saw him thrive. Of his 11 points, 7 happened in the third quarter. They happened in succession. He had a 7-point run himself, hit a 3, was making some wild and crazy shots that only Cameron Payne will take. And hey, luckily for him, they fell in tonight. So he's a huge X factor for this team come the playoffs. We know that. We've seen that when we've been successful in the playoffs 2 years ago, Cameron Payne was part of it. If you look at his numbers in last postseason, just don't go look at those numbers, because they're fucking gross. But we're going to kind of go as he goes with that second team unit.
It was kind of different to see him with the second unit, because, he really has the ball and he's the driver. He's, and I'm not just talking about driving the ball. I mean, he's the one driving the bus with that second unit. So when he's playing with KD, it seemed like KD was over there just kind of waiting to get the ball or expected it. And you have Payne over there just running offense because he knows where to go. He knows he's going to go this way, and then there's going to be a guy in the corner over there. So there's definitely some meshing that needs to happen there. Payne giving up the ball a little bit more to KD is going to happen. But I also think vice versa because Payne is starting to come on right now. It felt a little weird tonight, but again, to me, throw this game out, just move on to the next one. It's not about X's and O's in this one. But when he's on, he's hitting it high off the glass and it's going in. He's hitting these weird runners and it's going in right. And then he's hitting that little jab step back three that he had over. I don't know if it was Reed or Cat or who it was. And when we have that campaign, the sky is the limit for us. I mean, he is like the ultimate X factor, the ultimate whatever the hell verb, noun, adjective, pronoun you want to use. He is that guy because he can do things that other people in the league cannot do.
And Matthew says it all the time. Ayton and Payne are our X factors come playoff time. We need some big Ayton games and we need some big campaign games in the playoffs because you know what you're going to get from Devin Booker. You know what you're going to get from Kevin Durant. And for the most part, you know what you're going to get from Chris Paul.
Ayton's the key, man.
He is. He absolutely is.
Ayton's the key. I would say Payne is the X factor, but he's the key. Now with KD, I mean, with such a short sample size, I don't even know if we need a key anymore. We just got a bunch of motherfuckers that are going to pound the door down, right?
Hell yeah.
But DA, I've said it for years, which is why I'm so damn critical on him. He is the key. He is the one that can unlock almost everything else.
Yeah, but Kevin Durant unlocks a lot of people, and he's going to unlock DA. So we'll see. Let's check out what's going on in that subreddit, huh?
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
I was chilling up north in Minnesota, and we were enjoying our line and kugels, some of that summer shandy, even though it's March. And I don't know if that's a good Minnesota accent or not, but, skull.
Oh, yeah, it's great up there in the north, don't you know?
Skull, Bobby, eh? What was the show that had Bobby? The mom was always like, don't you know? Bobby's World, yeah, Bobby's World. Remember that show?
Don't you know?
Don't you know, Bobby? So here's some of the things that they were saying on the subreddit for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I haven't watched many Suns games. Do they live in the mid-range this much? Feels like I can live with all the shots they are taking. We're contesting.
Tell me you don't watch the NBA without telling me you don't watch the NBA.
How do you not know that the Suns are like the mid-range mafia and that Devin Booker and Chris Paul live there? Like, how do you have a Reddit log on? Always had a soft spot for Okogie, but talk about falling upwards. Could barely crack the rotation on a mid team and is a clear starter on a title favorite.
Interesting comment to unpack there. Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
falling forward. Interesting.
They loved Okogie. And if you look at his statistics, I mean, he's calling me nonstop for a reason. He is a hustle guy. We've had those guys in the past, right? Lou Amundsen, Pat Burke, when he got like the final 5 minutes.
Javon Carter.
Yep, Javon Carter. I mean, we love the hustle guys. Mm-hmm. Okogie was their hustle guy. And he left, and he's playing so much better with us. And they were talking about it during the broadcast. Again, I didn't watch ESPN, and I'm glad I didn't because all they did in the subreddit was dog Doris Burke the entire time. They're wondering if she was wearing a Booker's jersey. We just need to get a couple stops at the end of the game.
And that's the byproduct of Kevin Durant is that you actually get the ESPN broadcasters that like on your side.
Yeah, it's weird for us. But again, the way that they were talking about Okogie was just, something we can all understand and empathize with because, what Eddie was saying on the broadcast was that Okogie had stated, he's just like, they just didn't run a system that kind of suit me, and that's just because look at their system. Their system is so different than the Suns.
So slow.
It's Cat from the
Kyle
perimeter.
Anderson took over his slow-mo, and he's thriving.
Yes.
Josh Okogie moves to a faster-paced team, and he's thriving.
Facts. Aussie Suns fans in the podcast, Lissy has way better disguisers. Yeah, he bought them. He bought them from Amazon, and it's not like there's a ton of disguises you can buy from Amazon. He bought all the good packs. Excuse me. All right, other things in the subreddit. Ayton looks like he's from another decade. don't know what that meant, but maybe it's because he had
Maybe
like
the 80s.
he has like tape on his fingers or something. I don't know. Suns attack so much side to side. It's tougher to play straight up drop if the man defender is behind. Thoughts on that comment?
That's I've never thought about that.
Yeah,
They
me
do play a
too.
lot of side to side because they do a lot of stuff on the wing. Free throw line extended for people that know the elbow, and then you got free throw line extended going out to the 3-point line.
Yeah.
So when you say wing, I think of free throw line extended. We are doing a lot of action just right across from the nail to each boundary side. That's a great, holy shit, that's a great point. Who is that person? Let's hit him up on Reddit.
That person's name is MC Rhino, but RYNO.
I bet
Oh no,
you
wrong
it's
one, wrong one.
Oh.
Wrong one. It's Dio Brando 101.
Dio Brando, you've created a little thing twirling in my head right now.
Yeah,
about that.
I
Good
saw
job,
that
good job.
comment, but once they said that, I started noticing it throughout the game. I'm
Totally.
like, yeah, we're a team that starts primarily everything in the center of the court, and then we run it side to side off of that, and like you see it all the time, so it's nothing crazy. But then you watch the way that how their offense runs, it's completely different. Like we mentioned, it's slow, and they like to start on the sides and work inwards. Sun mid range attack just isn't scary. Suns are fouling like they are the Timberwolves. D-Book and Kendall Jenner both enjoy being on their back. Damn.
I mean, that's Book's primary position for game winners, so
it is. Get used to it, fuckers. This is a great comment. I hate Booker. I hate Durant. I hate CP3 most of all. Having them all on one team makes my sports hate much more efficient. Well played. Well played.
There you go.
Even though we won the challenge, I promise D-Bag Booker flops the next 3 possessions. Bitch ass Booker is a fucking softie. So again, that's just a lot of hate for Booker, obviously. And then finally, somebody said, Suns are hell of a team, man. We shut down the best player in the league in Durant, and the Suns are still up because Booker's a superstar too. So, I mean,
I would say more knowledge than not in that subreddit. You go into some of your other ones that you've done. That was actually one of the better ones.
Yeah, I enjoyed this one, and they were just bitching about the referees in Dorsberg the whole time. So can't blame them there.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
All right, I got one thing for you because I knew you were going to be on the pod.
You know what time it is.
Trivia time.
You're a very smart basketball fan. Like, you just know things. So I thought I'd hit you with some good trivia tonight. All right, I got 2 questions for you.
All right, let's go. I hope I live up to it.
Deep cuts. These are going to be tough. All right, first question. How many players in Phoenix Suns history have had the initials KD?
I have no idea. I feel like there was something Davis maybe. That was Kurt Rambis I'm thinking of. KD. I'm gonna guess randomly, John. I don't know because I can't think of one. I want to say
randomly.
Walter Davis. I got all the other ones. I'm just gonna say 3.
The answer is 1, Kevin Durant.
Hey, well, that's why I couldn't think of any.
There
That
you
makes
go.
sense. Trust
All
my
right.
gut.
Question number 2. Here we go. How many players in Phoenix Suns history have had the initials DA?
Two.
3. You have DeAndre Ayton. You have Dennis Autry, who played from 1974 to 1978. And you have Danny Ainge.
Son of a bitch.
There you go.
Good call.
Yeah, I thought I'd throw some tough shit at you. You know, this one will be a little bit easier.
Jam star of the game.
Jamsters, a reminder, subscribe, rate, and review, whether you're watching this along live on the Suns Jam Session podcast, or if you're on the He's on Fire podcast stream, hit that thumbs up button. We appreciate it. Lets people know where to come. It's algorithms and such. It says, hey, come watch the Suns game, or come watch the post-game pod with us after the game. Who is your Jam Star of the game, Evan?
We didn't talk about this guy, so I got to give him a runner-up nomination, and I want to give it to Chris Paul tonight. I thought the runner-up nomination for Chris Paul, I thought he played a really good game. I feel like he was the one that was kind of the calming force tonight. Book was attacking and he was talking to refs, and it just felt like Chris Paul was calming everything down, getting people in position, getting some shots, had 19 points. He looked way better than the Utah game. So I
Yes.
want to give the runner-up to him. He just felt like a very calming force. So good job driving the bus there. But obviously it's BDB, right? Big Dick
Yeah.
Book, 100%. Far and away.
It was. Again, he's the one who decided, like, again, I can attack when I need to, and I'm going to attack the basket as we talked about. But yeah, you're right. CP3 was vital. He was really big in that third quarter. He stepped up his defense in the third quarter. Once I mentioned it earlier, when the Suns went down by 10, all of a sudden they locked in defensively, and that was led by Chris Paul. And I guess it begs to question, is there any chance that with KD's arrival, CP3 can expend more energy on the defensive end now?
I think CP3 is going to be able to do a lot of things now, things that we just probably don't even see. Ball handling, right? I think he's going to be able to do that even just a little bit more because he was doing it less. I think he can do it more now because I think he's going to have a little bit more room, especially in the half court. He's going to be able to run a specific offense. He's going to have room to hit shots. If he can just turn into prime Derek Fisher with the Lakers, who couldn't miss a clutch shot to save his life, then that's just a huge X factor. I think Chris Paul's just going to be able to do a lot. It's going to be fun to watch. Every game's going to be a different conversation, John.
Oh, that's the best part, man, because the challenge that we've had going live after every game, it's like, all right, here's what we saw tonight, but we don't know what it means yet because Kevin Durant's not here. Once KD gets here, now we can actually start to talk X's and O's and strategy and rotations. And, that's the fun part of this with 6 games left. So speaking of 6 games left, next game's Denver. Right. And that's going to be an interesting affair. It's going to be is it at home? I think it's at home.
I knew this, but now I don't know for sure.
I'm almost 100% it's at home. Like I'm almost.
Yep,
100%.
it is home. NBA TV. It's a 8:30 start time for me, so 7:30 for y'all.
7:30. Gross. So tonight the Memphis Grizzlies lost, which puts the Denver Nuggets 3.5 games ahead of them in the standings. Okay, 4 games ahead of them in the loss column, which is what I try to look at this time of year. I really focus on the loss column because there's a lot of half games and all that stuff. The Suns obviously with this win and the Clippers winning tonight. I don't know if you saw that. The Clippers won. They didn't have Paul George or Kawhi. Fucking Westbrook goes ape shit. Norman Powell and Bones Highland go ape shit on the bench. And they win, so they are a game behind the Suns in the loss column.
That's part of what's going on with the Suns to a point with Durant. All these dudes are used to not playing with Kawhi so much that the second he goes out, they just feel more free and they're running with it, which is what you saw with Payne. It's an interesting dynamic that they got going on in Clipperland.
It's interesting. I was thinking about this today, and I don't know if I've ever heard anyone make this specific point, but it hit me while I was doing my one dish today. Not well, according to my wife. I never clean anything well enough, in the eyes of Danny Tanner. With load management, one of the biggest challenges with load management, we know when we talk about the Clippers, we know we're talking about load management. One of the biggest challenges with load management is, your guys are healthy for the playoffs, but they're not durable enough for the playoffs. Because when the playoffs hit, you're playing every other fucking night. So you're asking these guys, it's like, all right, you're playing here, you're not playing on the second night of a back-to-back. We're going to take a game off here, so now you're going to get 5 days rest. It's like I don't know if you ever had any firefighter buddies, but like if you got a firefighter buddy, they work 1 on, 2 off. So if they take 1 day off, they get like 5 days off in a row. It's beautiful. Thank you for saving lives and baby and cats and putting out fires. But that's what they do in the NBA. It's like, hey, Kawhi, you're going to take this 1 day off, so now you're going to have 5 days off. But what happens is once you hit the postseason, you're fucked because from a durability standpoint, late in a series, you're grinded down because you're not used to the grind.
Didn't Paul George literally just come out and say this about a month ago or 6 weeks ago, something? He said, we're taking all these days off because we're not practicing and going hard like we used to. We've gotten soft. And I completely agree that. I mean, we can have the debate about AAU basketball and how that's really hurting a lot of people. And you can put all this together, right? But at the end of the day, I mean, we've never been able to have the ability to run faster, jump higher, do all these things that the body's really not meant to do. But then we're building these huge ass athletes up to perform once every 5 or 6 days. No, if what I think I know about physical education and all that stuff is repetitions and
Yes.
body and memory, muscle memory and all that stuff. So you're good at your job because you do it 5 damn days out of the week, right?
Yep.
So you get into a groove and your body's tired and stuff. You're getting up and you're sore right now with your back, but once you get into work, you kind of get into a groove, and everybody knows what I'm talking about. And I think that's very similar with athletes, NBA in particular. I mean, and the MLB, shit, John, you're a huge baseball fan. You know, it takes minimum 30 plus games for a hitter just to start getting comfortable at the plate. And that's spring training where you don't get a full 30 games, right? So load management is a thing that needs to go away. And I love what Doris Burke was saying, how maybe with the MVP voting, you cap it like you have to play 65 games if you want to be in the MVP category. Maybe there's things like that you can do, but that is an interesting comment, what they were saying. And I've been rambling and I almost lost the point of what your original
No,
question
you're
was,
fine.
but...
You're fine. It's good conversation. I wonder if the argument for 72 games, which I know Matthew's pro, I'm kind of con because I always will have that historical side to me. It's like, well, Jordan played 82 games, but you're right. Jump higher, faster, longer. And also back then, like the playoffs weren't nearly as long. The playoffs are very long. And if you were to drop this by 10 games, the season by 10 games, this season would have ended last week. So you can add potentially 3 more weeks to the postseason. You can keep the same amount of games and you can maybe spread it out a little bit more. So there's the same rhythm of the regular season, because that's what I'm worried about. That's the challenge, right? It's like, we always talk about how there's 2 different seasons, but like it really is 2 different seasons because it's every other fucking night until the finals, and it wears.
And it's
teams
hard.
out.
They're hard games. You're not playing
hard.
You're not playing against a cheap team.
No, you're playing against a team that's strategically doing everything they can to physically task you as long and hard as possible. You look at Chris Paul. It's what always worries us and will worry us as we enter the postseason. This postseason is, can Chris Paul hold up from a durability standpoint? And that's a challenge. So we got off topic. I was talking about the Clippers. Do you think that Denver brings the full? Now, this is the interesting thing. We know that they're going to be playing, right, on the game against the Suns or on Friday. It's not like they're going to sit anybody for this game in theory, right? But I do think that the Denver Nuggets might play some vanilla basketball against the Suns, because this could potentially be a second round matchup. The Suns are at the 4 seed. If we beat the 5 seed and we have to play the winner of the 1-8, it's the Denver Nuggets. How much do you give away? Because they don't need games as much as we do. Like, we have to give away a little bit more than we do because they have a 3.5 game cushion with 6 games to go.
They also play tomorrow night, so they're going to be coming off a back-to-back.
That's true. Who do they play? They play
the
New Orleans.
Yep. So, man, 1 week to go during the season. I mean, if you're the coach, what are you doing? I'm sitting who needs to be sitting, right? And I probably am doing a vanilla type thing. They have won 4 in a row, but they hit a skid too. Man, you hear Eddie say it all the time, and I'm a big proponent in it. You have to be playing your best basketball at the end of the year. I think the Suns are just in such a prime chance to be that team right now.
Well, we were the Nuggets last year, right? We were the team that had
the Jazz the year before.
Yeah, that could pull the gas pedal back a little bit, because you do have a lead now. We had a much bigger lead, but they have a lead, and it's 3.5 games. And they could sit there and say just that. Be like, you know what, we can sit this guy. We can sit Jamal Murray. We can sit Michael Porter. And it might cost him a game in the stands. No big deal. But we talk about that rhythm thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, again, that load management at the end of the season, it hurt the Suns last year. It hurt us going into that game against the Pelicans, and the Pelicans were on the upswing.
And it hurt the Jazz the year before because they were go. They wanted the number 1 seed. They wanted to prove to everybody, and then they floundered. They were tired.
100%. So
well, I mean, but we also play them a second time next week.
Exactly. That I feel like a much more vanilla type game for them. I truly do that.
Sure.
This one is going to be interesting, but again, coming off that back-to-back, there's just, I don't know. Do you think it's a win or a loss, or are there too many X factors to even?
I think it's a win. I think the Suns have something to play for. I think Book said it yesterday. It's like, this is the time we've all been waiting for all year. It's right now. We are right in it. The Suns have something to play for. One of the coaches that taught me when one of my teams was losing to a far superior team, And they were still playing. They're up 20 with 4 minutes left, and they're way better than us, and they're still playing hard. I'm looking over like, why are they still playing like this? He looked at me. He's like, Coach, don't ever say what the other team is doing. The other team's gonna do what the other team's gonna do. So
Valid.
they can do what they want to do, man. They can play and go full 100%. They could go vanilla. What the Suns need to do is get their rotations tighter, get used to playing with each other, and play Phoenix Suns basketball with Kevin Durant. It's going to be easy for Chris Paul and Devin Booker to play with Kevin Durant. It's going to be harder for our depth guys. So we just need to play our game and let them do what they want to do. I'm curious of the route. I'm really curious. If they go into overtime tomorrow night, I think that's going to give us a clear view too.
Big time. And New Orleans has been playing somewhat better. You know, they're a team that's fighting too. You know, everybody's fighting.
I talked about this last night on my podcast. The Pelicans played the Warriors last night. Did you see the scuffle?
You're
going to want to go back and watch it.
I watched the game. I just don't remember.
It was like in the middle,
Draymond
Green, the end of
right?
the second quarter, and Draymond Green,
and
there wasn't like a fight or anything like that, but there was like a scuffle. But guys got up off of the bench, came up off of the bench area during a conflict. I forget the NBA's wording.
It's not 2005, man.
Nobody got suspended.
And it's because Daniel Stern's not around to fuck the Suns. That's why. And kudos to Draymond Green. He did what he needed to do, and he cost me money. That son of a bitch. Because they were.
He got a triple single last night.
I think he did, but
9 points.
No. He had like
15.
He had like 15 rebounds.
Okay.
No, I needed New Orleans to win that game. Yeah, I was like, they're crushing him. This is fantastic. And then all of a sudden, it was just like, oh man. After that, it was him and Herb Jones. We're getting into a little bit, and then the kerfuffle happened, and then like. I was like, well, that's the emotion that the Warriors live off of. They live off that. That's why Draymond's so valuable to them. Is he's got guys who can back up his shit talk. You know, I would love to have seen Draymond Green on any other team where it's just like he does all that shit talk and then he plays for like Dallas and they like just, miss shit unless they're playing the Suns. So
see where that gets you, right?
Yeah, 4 rings. That's where that gets you, at least for him. And anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here, Coach? I really appreciate you coming on, brother.
I could talk ball for the next 4 hours, but your back must be killing you.
It's time to put this thing to bed. So on that note, Jamsters, and do you have a nickname for the people who watch and listen to your podcast?
Cool people?
Fireballs?
Fireballers?
Yeah, so Jamsters and Fireballers, we appreciate you hanging out with us for this. Again, Suns win 4-0 with KD, and we're still sitting there at the 4 seed. So please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're consuming this content. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a 5-star review. Coach, let everyone know one more time where they can follow and find your material.
At Coach Evan B, and He's on Fire podcast. Look it up in Google. We're the only ones, baby.
There you go. And you can follow me at Darth Voida on Twitter. You can follow the show at Suns Jam on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And you can read my writing at brightsideofthesun.com. And as Matthew would say, ladies and gentlemen, go home. Love your family.
Love your family.